Welcome to our presentation on the fiscal year 2024 Fire Prevention and Safety Grant Program. The FP&S, or Fire Prevention and Safety, grant program supports projects that enhance the safety of the public and firefighters with respect to fire and fire-related hazards. This grant plays a vital role in working towards reducing injury and death among high-risk populations. This presentation will cover the key components of the program, including eligibility requirements, application processes, and funding objectives, with a special emphasis on the Fire Prevention and Safety Activity, otherwise referred to as the FP&S Activity. It's important to highlight the timelines and funding available for the fiscal year FP&S 2024 program. Depending on when you're viewing this presentation, the application period may be open or will be opening soon. Specifically, the application window for the fiscal year 24 FP&S grant will commence at 8 a.m. on the first day and conclude at 5 p.m. on the final day, all Eastern time zones. This year, a total of $32.4 million has been appropriated for the FP&S grant program. The total amount of funding a recipient may receive under an FP&S grant award is limited to a maximum federal share of $1.5 million. The FP&S program anticipates issuing approximately 100 awards this funding cycle. More importantly, all awards will be finalized and announced by September 30th, 2025, giving departments a clear timeline for planning their applications and funding needs. As a potential FP&S award recipient, it is crucial to understand that complying with the requirements and regulations outlined in the Notice of Funding Opportunity, or NOFO, is mandatory. The NOFO serves as a comprehensive guide for applicants, providing essential information that will shape your application process and funding journey. It is imperative to read through the entire FY 2024 FP&S NOFO carefully. Inside, you will find detailed insights into several key areas, including the program's objectives and priorities. Additionally, the NOFO outlines the eligibility criteria, ensuring that you understand all necessary qualifications you must meet before submitting your application. Key dates are also included, allowing you to prepare your application accordingly and ensure timely submission. Finally, the NOFO provides a clear overview of the review process and evaluation criteria. Understanding these factors will help you craft a competitive application that stands out during the review process. It is important to note that the NOFO is not just an informational document, it is incorporated into the terms of the award. This means that adherence to the guidelines provided is not optional, but a requirement for receiving funding. Take the time to familiarize yourself with the NOFO. It will be your roadmap to successfully navigating the FP&S grant application process. You can find the entire document at www.fema.gov/firegrants. The FP&S program has several key objectives aimed at improving fire safety across the nation. These include reducing community fire risk through assessments, education, and tools, reduce wildfire risk through property assessments, education, and fuel reduction, increase code awareness, adoption, reinstatement, and enforcement, increase fire origin and cause investigations, enhance the safety of the public and firefighters through national programs that aim to improve behaviors and decision-making regarding fires, and increase research to improve firefighter safety, health, or well-being. These objectives are designed to ensure that fire departments and communities have the tools, knowledge, and resources needed to improve fire safety and reduce risks for everyone involved. FEMA prioritizes the use of grant funds to provide flexibility to applicants who design innovative strategies and unique proposals aimed at achieving a higher level of safety with respect to fire and fire-related hazards. Proposals will be evaluated based on how well applicants demonstrate an understanding of their community's fire and safety risks. A community risk assessment should be conducted to document these risks and serve as the foundation for mitigation efforts. The application should be focused on solving the problem that will help reduce the risk. A risk analysis should be the central element of your application to ensure that the proposed approach effectively addresses the identified community risks. Here we will explore the two primary activities supported by the FP&S program, the FP&S Activity and the R&D Activity. Grant funds under the FP&S Activity support projects designed to reach high-risk target groups and help mitigate the incidence of death and injuries caused by fire and fire-related hazards. The Research and Development, or R&D Activity, supports projects aimed at improving firefighter safety, health, or well-being. These projects focus on research and development efforts that aim to reduce firefighter fatalities and injuries. Please note, applicants who wish to submit applications for both activities must submit two separate applications. Here we will go over the eligibility criteria for the FP&S activity. Understanding who is eligible to apply for these grants is crucial to ensuring your organization can secure an FP&S grant. Eligible entities under the FP&S activity include fire departments, as well as national, regional, state, local, tribal, and nonprofit interest organizations that are recognized for their experience and expertise in fire prevention and safety programs and activities. Both private and public nonprofit organizations are eligible. For-profit organizations, federal agencies, and individuals are not eligible for funding in the FP&S activity. The FY 2024 Notice of Funding Opportunity was updated with some important changes. Wildfire risk reduction now has a performance measure, which is % of target population receiving an intervention. Throughout the NOFO, the fire and arson investigation category was renamed to origin and cause investigation. Cancer screenings and behavioral and mental health services were added as examples of other eligible projects under the Origin and Cause investigation category. The National Strategic Projects section was removed under the National, State, Regional Programs and Projects category. Instead, the NOFO states that all projects should align with the national strategy culminating from the U.S. Fire Administrator Working Groups. Finally, the ineligible list shows the costs for firefighter salary and overtime for fire suppression and operational activities are ineligible. There are some considerations continuing from the fiscal year 2023 FP&S program that we would like to highlight. First, let's discuss the Authorized Organizational Representative, or AOR. The AOR role is a user role within the FEMA Go system. An organization can have multiple members assigned with the AOR role. But the assignment of the AOR role allows that individual to administer your organization's user accounts and officially sign grant applications. It's crucial that you understand the role and responsibilities of the AOR role in the FEMA Go system. Any individual assigned the AOR role should be an official representative of your organization and not a consultant or a contractor. Next, we'll turn to the narrative evaluation criteria. The narrative statements submitted as part of an application must provide specific details about the activity for which an applicant seeks funding, including budget details. The FP&S NOFO contains helpful information on the evaluation criteria and how your application will be assessed. Understanding these criteria can help you craft a compelling narrative that highlights your department's needs and capabilities. As part of the review of narrative submissions, FEMA will undertake comparison checks across all narrative submissions to ensure a submission is unique. Ensure your narrative submissions clearly address each element specific to your organization. Don't overlook the reporting requirements. The submission of semi-annual progress reports will be a condition of any award. Compliance with these requirements are essential for assuring continued funding and support. Lastly, The applicant review information. FEMA will review all FP&S applications to determine a competitive score range. These applications, which fall into the competitive range, will undergo a technical review by the FEMA FP&S Program Office, and they will assess the requests with respect to cost, quantities, eligibility, and recipient responsibility. We will cover the evaluation stages a little later in this presentation. The fire prevention and safety activity includes 5 primary project categories, each designed to address specific areas of need in fire prevention and safety. The FP&S activity is designed to reach high-risk target groups and mitigate the incidence of death and injuries caused by fire and fire-related hazards. The 5 project categories eligible for funding are: number 1, community risk reduction. Projects include efforts to reduce fire risk in communities, such as installing smoke alarms and conducting public education campaigns. Number 2, wildfire risk reduction. Projects in this category include efforts to educate and protect communities within the wildland-urban interface, or WUI. They may include wildfire risk assessments, fuel reduction demonstrations, and programs that promote community-wide awareness and preparedness. Number 3, code enforcement awareness. Emphasizing the adoption, enforcement, and awareness of fire-related codes, this category supports projects that improve fire safety standards, including WUI-specific codes for communities at wildfire risk. Number 4, origin and cause investigation. This category supports projects that focus on investigating fire origins and causes, with eligible items including arson investigation trailers, training, and specialized equipment for investigations. Number 5, national, state, and regional programs and projects. These projects aim to address large-scale issues in residential fire safety, firefighter health and safety, and broader fire prevention initiatives that benefit multiple communities or regions. Each of these categories has distinct priorities to address specific fire and safety challenges at both local and regional levels. Community risk reduction. The community risk reduction category focuses on initiatives that reduce fire-related risks within communities. Projects may include smoke alarm installations, public education campaigns, and other efforts aimed at protecting high-risk populations. One key project category is smoke alarm installations. Priority will be given to programs that target a specific high-risk population. These programs should focus on door-to-door smoke alarm installations and provide home safety inspections as part of a comprehensive home fire safety campaign. The campaign must also include an educational program delivered to the occupant at the time of installation and inspection. Additional consideration will be given to applicants who incorporate supplies for deaf and hard of hearing alarm installations. FEMA promotes the use of smoke alarms that are powered by non-removable, long-life batteries enclosed in tamper-resistant housing. It is required that residential smoke alarms be installed in all locations in accordance with the most recent NFPA 72 National Fire Alarm and Signaling Code, specifically 2022 edition, Chapter 29. Continuing with community risk reduction priorities, another key area is sprinkler awareness. Priority will be given to programs that include sprinkler awareness efforts affecting the entire community. This includes educating the public about sprinklers, promoting their use, and demonstrating working models of sprinklers. Please note, installation of sprinkler systems is only eligible if it is part of a sprinkler demonstration or educational effort. Another important priority is risk assessments. Priority will be given to community-appropriate comprehensive risk assessments and risk reduction planning. This includes projects focused on wildfire community risk assessments, which should be applied for under this category. However, please keep in mind that applications requesting a risk assessment are precluded from applying for or being awarded any additional projects. There are additional eligible community risk reduction projects. These include smoke alarm or combination smoke and carbon monoxide alarm projects. This includes projects that encompass educational components that teach how smoke alarms work to provide early warning in case of fire, while promoting the installation of smoke alarms and/or inspections to assure that previously installed smoke alarms are operational. Additionally, public education projects aimed at reducing injuries caused by fire or other safety hazards are eligible. These can include items like educational props, fire extinguisher trainers, fire safety trailers, and LED signs. Also eligible are projects focused on juvenile fire setters designed to mitigate incidents of fire set by children. Other general prevention and awareness projects may also qualify. This can include things like lockbox installation, carbon monoxide detectors, address markers, and cooking range technologies. Lastly, projects that train personnel in public education are eligible for funding as well. Wildfire risk reduction. Next, we have priority projects for wildfire risk reduction. The focus here is on education and awareness programs designed to protect lives, property, and natural resources from fire in the wildland-urban interface. This does not include forestry projects, but does include community wildfire protection plans and programs supporting fire-adapted community initiatives. Fuel reduction demonstrations in a targeted location are also eligible as long as they are part of an educational effort. Please note that environmental planning and historic preservation restrictions may apply. Additional eligible projects would include external home sprinkler kits if proposed as part of a WUI education awareness effort, as well as wood chipper programs. Wood chippers may not be purchased through the FP&S program. Code enforcement awareness. FEMA prioritizes projects that focus on the first-time adoption or reinstatement of building codes, particularly for communities facing a WUI wildfire risk. Enforcing and adopting codes is critical for ensuring structures can withstand fire hazards, especially in WUI areas. Examples of eligible projects include assistance for the adoption or awareness of building codes to help communities implement fire-resistant standards in new and existing buildings. Support for conducting inspections or pre-planning efforts, including funding for personnel costs, software, supplies, and training assistance to ensure proper code enforcement and compliance. Promotion of code enforcement efforts to improve engineering standards or to enact fire-related ordinances that ensure new construction is designed with fire safety in mind. These activities help create safer communities by ensuring proper preparation and fire-resistant infrastructure. Origin and cause investigation. FEMA prioritizes projects that focus to aggressively investigate every fire. Examples of eligible projects under origin and cause investigation include origin and cause investigation trailers, which are specially equipped trailers designed to conduct and train personnel in fire origin and cause investigations. Origin and cause investigation equipment, including personal protective equipment, PPE, to ensure the safety of investigators while performing their duties. Origin and cause investigator training programs to enhance the skills and knowledge of investigation teams. Origin and cause related surveillance equipment to assist in tracking and preventing arson-related activities. Arson prevention training to educate communities on identifying and preventing arson incidents. Personnel costs for individuals working on arson-related activities. Educational materials to raise awareness and promote safety within communities. Media equipment to assist in origin and cause investigations. Cancer screenings for investigators. Behavioral and/or mental health services for investigators. These efforts support a proactive approach to origin and cause investigation and prevention, aiming to reduce arson incidents and improve overall community safety. National, state, regional programs and projects. This priority supports projects that have a broad impact at the national, state, or regional level and focus on addressing fire prevention and firefighter well-being. Examples of eligible projects include, but are not limited to, residential fire issues, which aim to improve fire safety and reduce risks in homes and residential areas. Firefighter safety, health, and well-being initiatives, particularly those that focus on the dissemination and implementation of programs, policies, or products derived from previous research studies. These studies must have used rigorous scientific methods to determine the effectiveness of these interventions. Development of new fire prevention and safety projects that focus on health and well-being, but do not include a research component. The overarching goal of these projects is to measurably change the behavior and decision-making of the target population to improve fire safety and enhance firefighter safety. Projects should also align with the national strategy culminating from the U.S. Fire Administrator Working Groups. Some projects and items are ineligible for funding under the Fire Prevention and Safety Activity. These include educational props. Items like tools used in demonstrations are ineligible if they aren't part of a comprehensive, planned educational program or they lack a clear educational context. Costumes and puppets. These items are only eligible if they are part of a structured educational program. Training for operational staff. Funding cannot be used for AED, CPR, or fire extinguisher training for active duty personnel. Infrastructure and suppression items. Items like fire hydrants, dry hydrants, installation costs, and fire suppression or EMS supplies, vehicles, and equipment are ineligible. Fire extinguishers and related equipment. Fire extinguishers, firefighter training tools, fitness equipment, immunizations, and firefighter physicals are also ineligible. Firefighter salary and overtime for fire suppression and operational activities is. Continuing with ineligible projects and items for FP&S funding, notification devices. Weather or disaster notification devices such as sirens, intruder alert systems, and deployment notification systems are ineligible. Driver simulator training tools are only eligible if part of a state or national education program leading to NFPA 1002 compliant driver certifications or equivalent standards. Sprinkler head caps and sprinkler systems. Installation of sprinkler systems is ineligible unless it includes an educational or demonstration component. Trailers for the purpose of firefighter training or suppression are ineligible. Suppression-related training. Training programs for firefighting skills, such as Firefighter 1 or 2, wildland firefighting, or suppression exercises are not eligible. Communication equipment, such as portable radios, CAD systems, and similar communication tools are all ineligible. Reviewing additional ineligible projects and items. The development of administrative documents. Costs related to creating documents such as SOPs, manuals, or other administrative materials are not eligible. Live animals and firearms are ineligible. Fire extinguisher training for certain age groups. Training aimed at children under 14 or adults over 65 is not eligible for funding. Fire extinguisher training must also be part of a comprehensive prevention or education program in order to be eligible. Entertainment equipment. Equipment that is considered more for entertainment rather than educational purposes as part of a comprehensive program is ineligible. Community finder decals. Projects that include Tot Finder, Child Finder, Senior Finder, or Pet Finder decals are not eligible. Hydrant poles or markers are not eligible. Fire retardant house gels are not eligible. Alarm systems and installation. Costs associated with alarm systems and their installations are not eligible for funding. Non-standard fire safety equipment. Equipment such as smoke alarms, carbon monoxide detectors, or surge protectors that do not adhere to recognized standards, such as Underwriters Laboratory or ANSI standards, is ineligible. Keeping with the ineligible projects and items, we also have vehicles. Costs related to vehicles are ineligible with the exception of a tow vehicle, which are limited to $6,000 per application. Giveaway dollar amounts. For items like plastic fire helmets, stickers, badges, and coloring books, the total cost is limited to $2,500 per project or $5,000 for a regional project. Please note, this cap does not apply to state or national projects, and safety devices are not considered giveaway items. Inflatable bounce houses. These are ineligible unless they have a non-inflatable floor. Non-fire prevention equipment. Any equipment that lacks a direct application to fire prevention or life safety education is ineligible. Command center packages. Costs related to command center packages on fire safety trailers are ineligible. Prescribed burns. Funding for prescribed burns is not eligible. Fuel and vegetation removal equipment. Equipment specifically for fuel reduction or vegetation removal is ineligible. Fuel or vegetation removal on public land is ineligible. Entertainment. This includes funding for electronics, events, and other entertainment items that do not align with FP&S objectives. And props. Props are ineligible unless they are specifically required for an educational program. Let's continue to talk about ineligible projects and items. Unmanned aerial vehicles and drones, as well as costs related to unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, or any related expenses are not eligible. Research and development. Projects that are focused on research and development are not eligible. Creation of new databases. Developing new databases falls outside the scope of eligible funding. Institutional Review Board approval. Projects that require IRB approval to work with human subjects are ineligible. Code plan review stations are ineligible. Technology development and the building of virtual reality games and simulations are ineligible. Construction costs are ineligible, including constructing buildings or making major alterations to a building that changes the footprint or profile of the structure. Robotics. Any projects related to robotics are ineligible. Demonstration tugboats. Funding for demonstration tugboats is not eligible. Evacuation roads. Costs related to evacuation roads are not eligible for funding. Facility remodeling and renovations. Remodeling or renovations are only eligible if limited to minor interior alterations that cost less than $10,000. And other items or services. Any items or services that do not directly support the FP&S program objectives are ineligible, as well as any items or activities that can be primarily funded under the AFG, Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program, or the Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response, SAFER program. The period of performance, or POP, for projects funded under the FP&S activity is generally 12 months. However, some projects may be granted a 24-month POP if additional time is needed to complete the environmental and historic preservation review. Eligible applicants proposing complex projects, such as those under the national, regional, state programs and projects, may apply for up to a 24-month POP from the date of award. If you include line items or costs for a second year in your application, you are requesting a 2-year POP. Please note that the POP start date cannot be changed. It cannot be pushed to a later date. All grant-related purchases and activities must be incurred, received, and completed within the period of performance. The period of coverage and/or service delivery on all contracts and agreements must not begin prior to or extend beyond the grant's POP. Applicants should take care not to request grant funds for any supplies that cannot be distributed or installed before the end of the POP. For example, in the case of smoke alarm projects, make sure all alarms are distributed and installed within the POP. According to the Code of Federal Regulations, 2 CFR, Part 200.314, Title II supplies will vest in the non-federal entity upon acquisition. If there is a residual inventory of unused supplies valued over $10,000 at the termination or completion of the project, and those supplies are not needed for another federal award, the non-federal entity must either retain the supplies for other activities or sell them. In either case, the non-federal entity must compensate the federal government for its share. Regional requests. A regional project offers an opportunity for an eligible FP&S activity organization to serve as a host and apply for funding on behalf of itself and any number of other participating FP&S activity eligible organizations. Regional activities should have a direct regional or local benefit to more than one jurisdiction, county, parish, town, township, city, or village. This means that other eligible organizations will receive a portion of the grant awarded funds, will receive items purchased with the grant funds, or share an item purchased with the grant funds. The community identification characteristics, the organizational status of the applicant, and the permanent resident population should be entered for the host entity, regardless of the composition of the participating partners. For the regional project to proceed, both the regional host, applicants, and the participating partner agencies must execute a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, or an equivalent document. This must be signed by the host and all participating organizations involved in the award. It should outline each organization's individual and shared responsibilities, the level of involvement of each partner, employer identification numbers for participating agencies, and how grant-funded assets or services will be distributed. Each entity listed as a beneficiary in the application must be eligible under the FP&S program and must be included in the MOU or equivalent document. Make sure to attach copies of the MOU as part of your application submission. Please note that any fire department participating in a regional application cannot already have an FP&S grant that funds the same activities as those requested in the regional application. Applicants, as identified by their Unique Entity Identifier, or UEI, may submit the following applications. One FP&S activity application. Eligible applicants can submit one FP&S activity application that may include up to 3 projects. The maximum federal share for this application is $1.5 million. 2, the R&D activity. Eligible applicants can submit one R&D activity application, which may also include up to 3 projects. The maximum federal share for this application is $1.5 million. Important, the $1.5 million cap applies to the total of both applications if you choose to submit both an FP&S and R&D application. In other words, the combined federal share across both applications cannot exceed $1.5 million for the FY24 program. Applicants may submit one application for up to 3 FP&S activities. For example, one FP&S activity application could include 3 different projects, such as a smoke alarm project, a public education initiative, and a wildfire education campaign. If your projects can be completed separately, please submit separate projects. If they are too interwoven, such as a smoke alarm with a public educational component, then consolidate them into one project. A 5% cost share is required for all applicants. This means that applicants must contribute a portion of the total project cost, with FEMA covering the remaining amount. You must include the cost share when you're adding costs to your grant application. The budget section in FEMA Go will automatically calculate the required cost share based on your total project costs. For assistance with the cost share, you can use the cost share calculator, which is available online at the Fire Prevention and Safety Documents page at FEMA.gov. One important note: fire departments may apply to waive or reduce the cost share requirement. This can be done through an economic hardship waiver. If you would like to apply for a waiver, please be sure to mark that option in your grant application. The maintenance of effort requirement is an essential obligation for grant recipients. If awarded, recipients must agree to maintain their overall expenditures during the award's period of performance, including those activities funded with non-federal funding, for any activity that qualifies as allowable costs under the FY24 FP&S program NOFO. Specifically, these expenditures must be at least 80% or more of the average of what the applicant spent on such costs for these activities in fiscal years 2022 and 2023. Only fire department applicants may apply to waive this requirement via an economic hardship waiver. Make sure to mark in your grant application if you will be applying for a waiver. For the FP&S activity procurement requirements, there are specific standards applicants must follow to ensure compliance. State applicants must adhere to the federal procurement standards outlined in 2 CFR sections 200.317, 200.322, 200.323, and 200.327. Non-state applicants are also required to follow several federal standards. Applicants must have a written procurement policy for procuring goods and services with grant funds. All procurement activity must align with federal procurement standards as specified in 2 CFR sections 317 through 200.327. Applicants must establish written standards of conduct to address conflicts of interest and regulate the actions of employees involved in the selection, award, and administration of contracts. A commitment to full and open competition is mandatory, ensuring fair practices for all procurement. And finally, no employee, officer, or agent can take part in selecting, awarding, or managing a contract supported by a federal award if they have a real or apparent conflict of interest. Under the FP&S activity procurement guidelines, grant recipients are required to ensure that any contractor they work with is not suspended or debarred from participating in federal procurement or non-procurement transactions, as specified in 2 CFR section 180.300. For contracts beyond grant writer services, we strongly recommend that any other contracts entered to support the award do not begin prior to the start of the period of performance. Starting early contracts will make those costs ineligible for funding. And finally, for non-state applicants, Federal funds cannot be used to pay a grant writer for post-award services unless a single contract covering both pre- and post-award services was awarded and procured in compliance with 2 CFR sections 200.317 to 327. Now we're going to discuss the FP&S Activity project scoring stages. There is no computer pre-score for the FP&S program. All FP&S Activity applications will advance to peer review. Peer review. Each application will be reviewed by a panel of 3 peer reviewers. Fundable range. Following the scoring outcomes from the peer review, the highest scoring project in each application will be considered for funding within an established fundable range. Technical review. FEMA will conduct a technical review of the highest scoring projects in the fundable range, assessing all project requests with respect to costs, quantities, feasibility, eligibility, and recipient responsibility. Financial integrity review. Following the technical review, those projects recommended for award are sent to FEMA's Award Administration Division for additional financial integrity review. Awards issued. If the financial integrity review is completed, an application is then scheduled for award by FEMA. All awards for FY24 FP&S will be issued no later than September 30th, 2025. The following slides detail the tools and resources available to grant applicants. Now we'll talk about the technical assistance tools available to support your FY24 FP&S application. You can find these resources at the FEMA website at www.fema.gov/firegrants. First and foremost, familiarize yourself with the fiscal year 2024 FP&S Notice of Funding Opportunity, or NOFO. This critical document outlines the program's objectives, eligibility criteria, and the application requirements. Understanding the NOFO thoroughly is essential for crafting a competitive application. Next, check out the Frequently Asked Questions, FAQs section. This resource addresses common concerns and queries applicants may have, offering valuable insights into the application process and eligibility requirements. Additionally, our application checklist is an indispensable tool. It provides a detailed outline of all necessary components and steps needed to complete your application successfully. Following this checklist ensures you don't miss any critical elements. One of the most beneficial resources we offer are the self-evaluation sheets. These sheets are designed to help applicants grasp the criteria that must be addressed in the narrative statements. By using the self-evaluation sheets, you can rate your own application, which not only helps in understanding your strengths and weaknesses, but provides an indication of how your application might be perceived by the peer reviewers. The narrative evaluation criteria, which are essential for scoring, are outlined in the FY 2024 FP&S program NOFO. Familiarizing yourself with these criteria will enhance your application, making it more likely to meet the expectations of the reviewers. Utilizing these technical assistance tools can significantly improve your chance of success in securing funding through the FP&S program. The system for award management. It is critical to understand that applicants will not be awarded grants without an active SAM.gov registration. This is a vital step in the application process, so make sure you prioritize it. For those who already have a SAM.gov account, please take a moment to check your registration status to ensure it is active. And keep in mind that a SAM registration must be renewed annually. Failure to renew a SAM registration can result in your record becoming inactive, which could jeopardize your chances of receiving funding. Effective April 4th of 2022, the federal government transitioned from using the Data Universal Numbering System, DUNS numbers, to a new identifier known as the Unique Entity Identifier, or UEI. If your organization had an active registration in SAM prior to this date, the UEI has already been assigned to you automatically. No action is required on your part. However, if you are registering a new entity in SAM.gov after April 4th of 2022, the UEI will be assigned during the registration process. For organizations that are currently registered in SAM.gov, you will find your UEI listed in your entity registration record. It's worth noting that FEMA Go has been updated to use the UEI as the primary entity identifier for registered organizations. As you move forward, please keep in mind that new registrations in both SAM and FEMA Go will require the use of the UEI. It's essential to have a current and active SAM registration to be eligible for FP&S funding. Each applicant must possess its own unique UEI and SAM registration, as sharing UEI numbers is not permitted within the FEMA Go system. The good news is that registering in SAM.gov is free. However, if you're a new entity, please be aware that the registration process can take weeks to complete. It's advisable to start on this process as soon as possible to avoid delays in your grant application. Accessing the 2024 FP&S application. The online application is available through FEMA Grants Outcomes, also known as FEMA Go, which you can access at go.fema.gov. This platform allows you to submit your application and track its status. For additional application information and resources, you can visit the following websites: the FP&S program website at fema.gov/firegrants. Here you'll find program details, eligibility criteria, and other vital information. Grants.gov at grants.gov is a comprehensive source for federal grant opportunities where you can also find information specific to the FP&S program application process. The U.S. Fire Administration website at usfa.fema.gov provides resources and tools related to fire safety and emergency response. These resources will assist you in navigating the application process and ensuring that you have all the necessary information for a successful submission. FEMA Go supports only the most recent major releases of the following browsers: Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Apple Safari, and Microsoft Edge. Please note that users accessing FEMA Go through tablet devices or other unsupported browsers may encounter issues, so it's recommended to use one of the supported browsers for the best possible experience. An important feature of the FEMA Go system is that there are no save buttons. The system automatically saves your information as you navigate through the application. This means you won't lose any data if you're forced to exit an application and return at a later time to complete it. If you forget to complete a question or you input an invalid response, you will receive red error messages to guide you in correcting those errors. Additionally, multiple individuals can work on the application simultaneously. If someone else is editing the application at the same time, you will see a message indicating their activity. Now let's talk about some tips for using the FEMA Go system. First, please do not type using only capital letters. This helps maintain readability and professionalism in your application. Next, be aware that the text boxes are limited to plain text. They do not allow for formatting, and many text boxes have character limits. Therefore, keep your entries concise and focused. Avoid using tables, special characters, or fonts. This includes quotation marks, bullets, and graphs. Additionally, you cannot add photos, charts, graphs, or other graphic files like JPEG or GIF formats to the text boxes. Before submitting your application, it's crucial to double, if not triple, check the information. Ensure that all facts and statements are accurate and consistent throughout the entire application. Collaborate with finance or other relevant departments to verify that the information you have provided is accurate. And lastly, if you include any filler or placeholder text while you're completing your application, please make sure to update those fields with your final and complete answers before submission. Following these guidelines will ensure a smooth application process and increase the likelihood of your application being well received. If a grant writer prepares your application, it is essential that an authorized organization representative, or AOR, reads through the application before it is submitted. This final review helps ensure accuracy and completeness. By submitting an application, you are certifying that all information contained in the application is true and accurately reflects your organization. It is important to note that any submission of information that is false or misleading, regardless of intent, may result in actions by FEMA. Once the AOR submits the application, it cannot be changed. However, you do have the option to withdraw and reopen a submitted application, but this can only be done while the application period is still open. Be sure to resubmit the application before the application period ends in order to be considered for funding. Upon submission, the AOR will receive an email confirmation from the FEMA Go system. This confirmation serves as proof of timely submission, which is critical to your records. Taking these steps will help you navigate the application process more effectively and ensure your submission is properly documented. Finally, we will outline the support resources available to you during the FP&S program application process. If you have questions regarding the program, the application, or general inquiries, you can reach out to the Fire Grants Help Desk. This help desk is staffed by professionals who are equipped to assist you. You can contact the Fire Grants Help Desk by phone at 1-866-274-0960 or email at firegrants@fema.dhs.gov. Help desk hours are Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Additionally, the FEMA website offers helpful information and guides designed to assist you in developing your application. For technical support with the FEMA Go system, you can reach the FEMA Go Help Desk. This help desk should address any technical issues you may encounter while using the FEMA Go system. You can contact the FEMA Go Help Desk by phone at 1-877-585-3242 or email at femago@fema.dhs.gov. FEMA Go Help Desk hours are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. Utilizing these resources can enhance your application experience and ensure that you have the support you need to navigate the process successfully. This concludes the fiscal year 2024 FP&S program Fire Prevention and Safety Activity Overview. All of the materials referenced in this presentation are available at www.fema.gov/firegrants.